In this video, I will expose some facts which prove that God exists, or rather that life is so complex that it cannot be the result of chance, and that the emergence of life and the universe required the will of a creator, a superior being, superior to all those we know. I will disregard anything in the Quran, Bible, or other religious writings, although for many people there is evidence in those writings as well. I will only stick to science and the opinion of many scientists. In our time, many people think that faith in God is a lack of judgment and intellectual weakness. Atheists believe that faith in God is incompatible with science, as it is currently understood. In any case, not in the way that the media transmit this science. But you have to know this. And it is certainly not known by most people. But the greatest scientists of the last century were believers, and several big names can be mentioned. Like Albert Einstein, who declared, "Everyone who is seriously involved in the pursuit of science becomes convinced that some spirit is manifest in the laws of the universe, one that is vastly superior to that of a man. In this way, the pursuit of science leads to a religious feeling of a special sort." And also, the scientist's religious feeling takes the form of a rapturous amazement at the harmony of natural law, which reveals an intelligence of such superiority that compared with it, all the systematic thinking and acting of human beings is a utterly insignificant reflection. And also Nikola Tesla, who declared, "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know that it exists." And now we have a quote from Charles Darwin, and I'm sure many of you thought that he was an atheist. But he declares himself a believer, but does not belong to any religion, and he said this: "I have never been an atheist, in the sense of denying the existence of God. The impossibility of conceiving that this grand and wondrous universe, with our conscious selves, arose through chance, seems to me the chief argument for the existence of God." Another source of conviction in the existence of God, connected with the reason and not with the feelings, impresses me as having much more weight. This follows from the extreme difficulty, or rather impossibility, of conceiving this immense and wonderful universe, including man with his capacity of looking far backwards and far into futurity, as the result of a blind chance or necessity. When thus reflecting, I feel compelled to look to a first cause, having an intelligent mind, in some degree analogous to that of a man, and I deserve to be called a theist. And now, Max Planck, who is one of the greatest scientists of the last century, who declared, "Both religion and science require a belief in God. For believers, God is in the beginning, and for physicists, he is at the end of all considerations. To the former, he is the foundation, to the latter, the crown of the edifice of every generalized worldview." And also, all matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force. We must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. This mind is the matrix of all matter. And many other names could have been mentioned. But if science was not dissociable from faith, for these great scientists, why do we have this false impression about science? In fact, many recent discoveries point to a creation of the universe. And many scientists hesitate to admit it, but they can no longer deny the image of a carefully designed and determined universe in which nothing is there by chance. Recently, men have decoded the human DNA and have access to the information therein. DNA is like a blueprint of our bodies, a genetic code that can be found in every cell. This code contains all the information necessary to make our bodies grow and work properly. This code is therefore engraved in each of our cells. Every living species has its own DNA code. All animals, but also plants, bacteria, viruses, so all forms of life. And every scientist who have worked on DNA have been surprised by the impressive amount of information found on a single strand of DNA. In the era of computing and data storage in which we live, it turns out that DNA is the most compact and ingenious data storage medium on Earth. It is much more efficient than anything man-made. So efficient that several computer companies have started experimenting with storing data on synthetic DNA, and it seems to be a success. And what is also impressive about DNA is that in a single cell there are about 2 meters of DNA. DNA is very thin and rolled up on itself in the nucleus of the cell. If we put end to end all the DNA included in the cells that constitutes a human being, we will get more than 1 million kilometers of DNA. That is about 375 times the distance between the Earth and the Moon, or twice the distance between the Earth and Mars. This may seem inconceivable to some of you, but it is an exact fact. Without going too far into scientific details about DNA, but to give an idea of the amount of information contained in the human genome. If we were to write the human DNA code on paper, it would consist of 3 billion letters, and it would take 1,000 books of 1,000 pages to write it. And it should be noted that this code is much more complex than computer codes and any other code created by man. It is therefore difficult to imagine that such a complex code is the result of chance. And here is what said Francis Crick, who is one of the first scientists to have worked on DNA and received the Nobel Prize for his work. He defines himself as an atheist, and this statement may therefore seem surprising. An honest man, armed with all the knowledge available to us now, could only state that in some sense, the origin of life appears at the moment to be almost a miracle. So many are the conditions which should have had to have been satisfied to get it going. "100 years ago, the opinion of scientists was that the universe is eternal and therefore had always existed. But now we know, and this is a scientific fact, we know that the universe had a beginning. It had a beginning, and therefore it will have an end. We know that in the beginning, a force brought the universe out of nothingness. So, if the universe had a beginning, it means that something or someone started the movement that gave rise to the creation of the universe. And this force that created the universe cannot be the result of chance. Scientists and mathematicians have already calculated the probability that the universe was created by chance out of nothing, and that it creates life without the will of a creator. And the result of this probability is 1 on 10 exponent 1000, or 1 on 10 with 1000 zero. So we can say that it is almost impossible for such perfectly arranged universe to be created by chance, and that life creates itself out of nothing. There is no disorder in the universe. Everything in it is subject to various laws and follow a precise pattern. These laws are essential for sustaining life and for maintaining the order in the universe. This may seem normal or insignificant for those who are not concerned by this, but it is a problem for those who try to imagine the universe without Creator, so without God. And on this subject, Fred Hoyle, the astronomer who coined the term Big Bang, said that his atheism was shaken when he discovered the fine-tuning that regulates the order in the universe. And he also says that a common-sense interpretation of the facts suggests that a superintellect has monkeyed with physics, as well as chemistry and biology, and that there are no blind forces worth speaking about in nature. So, contrary to what many people think, science and faith are not opposed, and many scientists believe in God, in a creator who created life and made the universe in which we live emerge from nothing.